A wise man once said, Oden wouldn't be Oden if it wasn't boiled. Today, we're recreating Oden's Oden soup from One Piece. So I've been casually watching One Piece.
No, Oden.
And Kozuki Oden's love language for making food really grew on me throughout the Wano arc. So when I saw the gigantic Oden he made for the Roger Pirates, I knew we had to recreate it. For good Oden, you first need good bathwater. Broth. Since his Oden uses kombu, we'll make an awase dashi. You can use a soup pack which makes your life easier, or make the broth from scratch using kombu and bonito flakes. Simply soak a 8-inch piece of kombu in 8 cups of water, making sure to fully drown that bitch. Then let it soak for up to 3 hours on the counter or in the fridge overnight. Pour the kombu water and kombu into a pot on medium heat and bring it to a gentle simmer. Make sure to skim any foam on the surface. Remember, it's okay for other things to build up in your life, but not scum. Once we get a gentle simmer, remove the kombu and set aside. Overcooking the kombu will produce a bitter taste. Add 2 cups of bonito flakes and wait until the flakes sink so you can sing. Start from the bottom, now we're here. Take off the heat and let the bonito flakes rest for 5 minutes. Strain the broth into a heat-proof container. You should really get a nice delicate broth the color of your pea. If you try the broth at this point, it'll taste kind of bland because we haven't seasoned it yet, dummy. Add a 1/4 cup of mirin, 2 tablespoons of sake, a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, and half a tablespoon of kosher salt. Stir well to combine. The leftover kombu from earlier is actually addable too. Cut the large sheet into 1/2-inch wide strips and tie a knot in the middle. It's okay, it's getting boiled anyways. This is the standard knot pattern, but you can also get super fancy. Next, we'll prepare some stolen daikon radish. It's okay if your radish is a little bit ugly because it's the inside that matters, am I right? Chop it into 1-inch rounds, then shave off about 1/2 inch from the skin. That area tends to be fibrous and unpleasant to eat, but if you're into that, I totally won't judge you. You can use a peeler. I'm using a knife here because I'm trying to act cool. Round off the sharp edge of the radish. This protects its shape when its ass is getting cooked. Not religious, but cut a cross pattern into the center on one or both sides. This allows the broth to penetrate. Daikon takes a long time to cook, so we'll need to parboil them first. It's best to use rice washing water or simply add a handful of rice to the mix. This helps lift the daikon's bitterness, but it can't lift yours. About 30 minutes of boiling later, your kitchen should be filled with the aroma of farts. The daikon pieces are done when they're translucent and fart tender. For the nerimono, aka yummy fried fish cakes, you can usually get them at your local Asian grocery. There's a wide variety to choose from, so pick a couple to try out. The Japanese ones were quite expensive, so I got some Korean ones too. Don't come for me. You may also find assortment packs like this that kills 12 birds with 1 stone. But if you're unlucky, you could get scammed. What the heck is this? I let the fish popsicles thaw for a little bit, then drop them in like a baby in boiling water for 30 seconds. This will get rid of the excess factory deep fried oils. Next, we have konnyaku. This is made from the konnyaku plant, and they come in different shapes and sizes, but they all taste kinda like solid water. And yes, the fishy odor is coming from the konnyaku, not you. Stab or score with a knife on both sides, then cut into 4 large triangles. Enter a pot of boiling water for 3 minutes to get rid of that fish stank, then set aside. Get the same water boiling again, and we're gonna cook some eggs. You can add 4 or 6, or even 8 if you're a baller in this economy. Set a timer for 6.5 minutes for jammy eggs, or 8 to 10 minutes for hard boiled. Drop them into an ice bath to cold shock them and stop the cooking process. Tap tap, roll. How's that for ASMR? Now to make these guys. This is called a kinchaku, which translates to yes, go get that bag, queen. Just kidding, it means drawstring bag, but I prefer the other translation. You can have different types of filling like meat, fish cakes, or vegetables. But today's filling will be mochi, which is the superior regional form. You need 2 main ingredients: tofu pouches and shiratama. Tofu pouches come in various sizes and numbers. These ones are tiny, but I somehow got enough to tide me over another recession. We're gonna use about 8 of this size. If yours is bigger than this, simply cut in half. It's quite greasy, like your face, so blanch it for 30 seconds before use. Shiratama is mochi flour that's wet grinded, so it results in a softer, more elastic texture than mochi made with mochiko. In a bowl, add 650 grams of shiratama and gradually add 350 grams of hot water while stirring. Then add 10 to 20 grams of cold water as needed until you get small clumps in the dough like this. Let the mixture cool to room temperature and it should stick to your hand less. Use your hand to knead until you get a smooth dough. You should be able to cleanly break the dough in half. This is slightly too wet, but it's still good. You can test by pinching off a little bit and boiling it real quick. If you get a stretchy texture like this, you're good. Roll the dough into a long log and divide it into 8 pieces. Take your blanched tofu pouches and roll each with a single chopstick on a paper towel to get rid of excess moisture. Cut an opening on one side and carefully open it up. Place a piece of mochi in and tie off the bag with a piece of green onion or kombu. Isn't that adorable? We'll also make the triangle kind, which is a similar concept. Just cut the tofu pouch in half diagonally. They look just like little cloud sandwiches. How cute. With that, everything is now ready for the oden. In a large pot, add a little bit of broth on the bottom, then put in your daikon and konnyaku pieces. Fill the pot with more broth, cover, and bring it to a boil. Add all the other ingredients except for the ones that shouldn't be overcooked, like eggs and kinchaku. My greed knows no bounds, so I'm adding however much I want. Bring it to a simmer, and there you have it. Oden's oden from one piece. Okay, I got the B-roll, but realistically, make sure all the ingredients are fully submerged or else they'll be dry AF. I also like to leave this cooking for about 30 minutes so that the flavor is fully immersed in each piece. Now let's eat! Itadakimasu! Starting with my favorite radish. The cross cuts makes the radish much easier to quarter with chopsticks. Yeah, still hits every time. This has been a childhood favorite of mine since I first tried oden at a random family mart, and it might still win the crown. Next, let's try some of the fried fish cakes. This one has squid in it. Not bad. The fish cake part has decent flavor and the squid isn't too chewy. Comparing a few of them, honestly, they mostly taste the same. If you had one, you had them all. Their flavor comes from soaking up all that good broth essence, and then it just kind of comes down to the quality of the fish cake itself. I think this one with the crab meat tastes the worst, and I really like the squiggly one on the stick and the squid one, which makes sense because the squid one was the most expensive. Speaking of the broth, it's so good. It's somehow very delicate, but also really packs a punch with the flavor. There's so much umami from the kombu having soaked for a long time, along with the savoriness that is brought along by the bonito flakes. I could drink this all day. I actually made 2 times the amount that I mentioned in this recipe just because I like the broth so much. So I actually make 16 cups of broth just for myself. The egg I actually added in cold because I didn't want it to overcook. Somehow it's still a little bit less jammy than I like, but at least it's not hard boiled because honestly I'm just not really a hard boiled kind of girl. But not bad. I mean, it's an egg, what can I say? For the konnyaku between, I actually never had the gray kind. I was surprised that it's kind of different than the noodle ones, but I gotta say I prefer the noodles because I guess it's still like at least textured like noodles. The gray one, it's really just like eating like a block of water. Sure, it absorbs some of the broth, but I feel like I couldn't eat a lot of this, but maybe that's just me. It has a very chewy, bouncy texture, and yeah, I don't know. The noodle is just better for me. Kombu not kind of fun to eat, and you know, visually adds a little bit green to this pot of like white, brown, and gray. It's alright. It's kind of fun to eat mainly for the difference in texture, but I wouldn't say it has like a lot of flavor since most of that went into the broth itself. So, it's alright. The mini sausages were pretty good. I mean, It's a mini sausage, you know, steeping in like the nice broth, so it's just good. For the kinchaku, it's actually my first time having mochi in Oden. I just haven't had it anywhere else, and this version is also homemade, and I was surprised by how good this was, because I mean, like, look at how stretchy the mochi is. It's just such a nice textural difference than everything else being, you know, like firm and chewy. This just provides that softness, and it goes really well with the broth and the contrasting savoriness of the pouch itself. I really like this one. All in all, the radish and the mochi was probably my top favorites. The radish is still my number one smelly king. I could eat this all day. If I didn't have any other ingredients and I only had the radish, I would still be fine. Not to say that everything else wasn't super delicious. I would definitely be making this again, and this is just a great dish to share with friends and family. It comes in a big pot. Everything's piping hot and delicious. You got different textures in one pot. It's just a good time. And then you end it off by chugging some ice cold juice, and that's the perfect end to a perfect meal. And there we have it. Oden's Oden from One Piece. As usual, let me know what you would like to see next in the comment section. And until next time, folks. Bye!